Confirmed. Matt Roloff's secret fifth child revealed. 99% DNA match. Little people, big word. Imagine waking up one morning, grabbing your phone, and seeing your own face on a viral thumbnail with the words, "Secret child revealed. 99% DNA match." Your family tree, your private history, turned into a guessing game for millions of strangers. That is the kind of story people are clicking on today with the name Matt Roloff in the title. For nearly 20 years, viewers have watched Matt on the TLC reality show Little People, Big World. They have seen his surgeries, his business ideas, his farm, his marriage, his divorce, and his 4 children. They have watched him become a grandfather. They have watched his family grow and fracture in front of cameras. And now, in a corner of the internet hungry for bigger and bigger twists, a new claim has taken shape. Matt Roloff has a secret 5th child. A child who, some videos insist, has a 99.9% DNA match. A child the family has supposedly hidden from public view. Today, we are going to walk straight into that story. We are going to lay out what is being claimed, what is actually known, and what it really means when a real human being becomes a character in other people's conspiracy fantasies. Because here is the most important thing you will hear in this entire video. There is no credible public evidence that Matt Roloff has a secret 5th child. No public DNA test result. No court record. No documented paternity case. No verified reporting from any trusted outlet. So why are so many people still clicking? Why are they watching full videos about a mystery that almost certainly does not exist? To answer that, we have to start somewhere more honest. Not with a sensational rumor, but with a family we already know. The Roloffs. Chapter 1. The family that opened their doors. Long before anyone whispered about a so-called 5th child, there were 4 very real children living on a farm in Oregon. Jeremy and Zach, the twins. Molly. And the youngest, Jacob. When Little People, Big World premiered on TLC in the mid-2000s, it was marketed as a simple documentary-style series. A window into the everyday lives of a family where 2 parents had dwarfism and 3 of their 4 children were average height. On paper, it sounded almost small. A pumpkin farm. A family of 6. A house in the countryside. On screen, it became huge. Viewers saw Matt, passionate and stubborn, constantly designing new projects on the farm. He dreamed in big structures and long-term plans. He built a pirate ship playground, themed attractions, all the things his imagination could stack onto those acres. They saw Amy, practical, emotional, protective of the kids, often frustrated by Matt's endless schemes but just as invested in the family story. And they saw what they rarely saw on television at the time. Little people living ordinary and extraordinary lives, not as side characters or punchlines, but as the center of the narrative. Week after week, season after season, this family invited cameras into their holidays, their fights, their graduations, their struggles with health, money, and relationships. For many viewers, especially those who started watching young, the Roloffs did not feel like reality stars. They felt like extended family. People you checked in on. People you worried about when things got tense. People you rooted for. Parasocial relationships, the one-sided emotional bonds we form with public figures we have never met, took deep root here. A fan might know more about the Roloffs' daily lives than they do about their own cousins. But there is a cost to that level of visibility. Because when you open your life to cameras, people begin to believe your story belongs to them. The divorce. After years of visible friction, Matt and Amy eventually divorced. The cameras were there for that too. Fans saw arguments on air. Confessions and interviews about communication breaking down and years of resentment. They saw the awkward reality of 2 people trying to divide one life, one house, one business, one farm. The divorce created fault lines in the family that have never fully closed. Some children were closer to one parent than the other. Some chose to step back from the television spotlight almost entirely. And for viewers used to seeing the family as a single unit, the cracks were painful. It felt like watching your favorite show break apart. But this is where something subtle and important happened. Many viewers did not simply process the divorce as observers. They took sides. They analyzed motives. They wrote long posts online describing how one parent was clearly the villain. They studied body language and edited confessionals as if they were security camera footage. Life events became evidence. Real people became characters in amateur detective stories. Once that line is crossed, it becomes much easier for a certain kind of narrative to take hold. The narrative that there is more to the story. That secrets are being hidden off camera. That the audience has a right to uncover them. Years later, that instinct, combined with the internet of 2024, would collide with a new rumor. Chapter 2. The rumor appears. Fast forward to the era of YouTube commentary channels, TikTok clips, and algorithm-fueled drama. If you search Matt Roloff today, you will find the expected results. TLC clips, farm updates, interviews, scenes from recent seasons, grandkids playing on the property. But scroll a little further and you start to see a different world. One built on zoomed-in paparazzi-style thumbnails, red arrows, and text designed to trigger instant curiosity. Secret child exposed. Hidden son comes forward. 99.9% DNA match. In many cases, the titles promise specific details. A location. A time. A test result that sounds scientific and irrefutable. The style is familiar. We have seen it used for celebrities accused of having secret families, sudden marriages, and unexpected scandals. It is the bread and butter of internet rumor culture. But in Matt's case, something feels especially jarring. Because we actually know who his children are. That is not a mystery. It is one of the core facts of the show. The 4 children who grew up on Little People, Big World are part of the public record in a way most kids will never experience. Their births, their childhoods, their graduations, and for the older ones, even their early adult relationships, have all been filmed and broadcast. Their existence is not only confirmed, it has been documented for hours and hours on screen. For a rumor about a 5th child to be true, a lot of specific things would also have to be true. There would need to be a real person involved, with a real life, real feelings, and a real story. In almost every country with functioning legal systems, there would likely be some form of record if any legal action took place, from child support to custody agreements. There would likely be at least some traceable trail. An interview. A court filing. A credible news report. As of the latest publicly available information, none of that exists. Even the most viral rumor videos about this supposed 5th child almost never link to concrete, verifiable primary sources. Instead, they recycle screenshots from other videos, comment sections, and vague claims that a source close to the family confirmed something off camera. Some will flash a graphic of a DNA test with 99.9% written in bold red letters. But if you pause and look closely, it is usually a generic template, a stock-style graphic, not a real, traceable laboratory document with names, dates, and an identifiable testing company. Think about that for a moment. In an age where celebrities and influencers routinely share actual legal documents on social media to back up their claims, the biggest proof offered here is a design element in a thumbnail. But this raises a deeper question. If the evidence is so thin, why are people still clicking? Why are creators still making these videos? To answer that, we need to understand the incentives of the modern attention economy. Drama sells. Platforms like YouTube and TikTok do not care whether a claim is true. They care whether it is engaging. They respond to one thing above all: watch time. A creator who uploads a calm, well-researched 30-minute video titled "A Look at the Roloff Family" today might struggle to get traction. A creator who uploads a 20-minute video titled "Confirmed Matt Roloff's Secret 5th Child Exposed," with a shocked expression in the thumbnail, is far more likely to trigger curiosity, outrage, and clicks. Even if the video itself immediately starts backpedaling, saying things like, "We do not know for sure. Some people are saying." This is just speculation. The title and thumbnail have already done their job. They have pulled the viewer inside. Within the video, the creator can stitch together completely unrelated facts to form a compelling-sounding narrative. Maybe Matt once mentioned in a book that he had relationships before meeting Amy. That is normal. Many adults do. But in the hands of a drama-focused commentator, that line becomes ominous. Maybe there is a blurry photo of Matt with a fan that someone online claims is a secret child. No dates, no context, no confirmation. It could be anyone. But words like hidden and exposed reframe it as evidence. Maybe someone misinterprets a family comment on social media as a hint about a missing sibling. Each little piece, taken separately, means nothing. Put together with ominous music and a slow, serious voiceover, they begin to feel like a puzzle. And here's the catch. Humans love puzzles, especially ones involving people they already feel they know. The audience remembers the years of the show. The moments where Matt seemed distant from certain kids. The frustrations, the arguments. Their brains connect dots that were never meant to be connected. What if there is something they never told us? What if there is someone missing? The video ends with a shrug. The YouTuber might say they are just asking questions, just sharing what is already out there. But the suggestion has already landed. A small seed of doubt, planted in thousands of minds. Chapter 3. What we actually know. If we step away from the thumbnails and come back to ground level, the facts of Matt's family life are, in many ways, simple. Matt Roloff has 4 children he has publicly acknowledged, raised, and spoken about for decades. Jeremy and Zach, the twins, born in the early 90s. Zach, like Matt, has dwarfism. Jeremy does not. Their dynamic and differences were a core part of the early show. Molly, bookish and thoughtful, who gradually stepped back from the series as she grew older and moved away, choosing a more private life. And Jacob, the youngest, who has been openly critical in recent years about the experience of growing up on reality TV and the pressures it created. The world watched as those kids grew from little children running around the farm to adults navigating their own relationships, careers, and families. We have seen weddings. We have seen births of grandchildren. We have seen Zach become a father, raising his own children in the shadow of the same cameras that once followed him. These are not shadowy figures. They are public people, as public as they have chosen to be. We also know some solid facts about Matt's romantic life. He was married to Amy for nearly 3 decades. They divorced. He has since been in a long-term relationship with Karen, a woman who worked on the farm and later became his partner. There is no public record of another long-term, legally recognized relationship that produced a child during those years. That does not mean Matt's past is devoid of complexity or mistakes. He has talked about regrets, about times he was not the father or husband he wanted to be. Real life is messy. It rarely fits cleanly into 22-minute episodes or neat binaries of good parent and bad parent. But messiness is not the same as scandal. Imperfect parenting is not the same as a secret, hidden child. Then, there's the simple, stubborn reality of time. For there to be a 5th child, that child would have to be born in a specific window in Matt's life. Old enough now for drama channels to claim a DNA test has been taken. Young enough that they were apparently completely unknown to both the public and the Roloff children until recently. That is not impossible in abstract terms. The world does see stories where adults discover late in life that they have a half-sibling they never knew about. These stories do happen, and when they do, they are often heartbreaking and complicated. But when those stories emerge for public figures, they are usually accompanied by something more solid than a handful of YouTube videos with no citations. You see court records, interviews with both parties, sometimes painful public confrontations. With Matt, we have none of that. The only place this 5th child seems to exist is in the land of highly monetized speculation. And this is where we had to talk about the emotional cost of all this, not just for Matt, but for everyone whose lives are being turned into plot twists. Chapter 4. The human beings under the spotlight. Think about what it means to be one of Matt's 4 known children and see these rumors exploding online. Imagine you are Zach, scrolling through your phone late at night, and your father's name is trending. You tap, instinctively. You see strangers dissecting your family story, calling your father a liar or a secretive monster, insisting there is a brother or sister you never knew. Or imagine you are Jacob, who has already spoken about the feeling of being watched and consumed as content since childhood. Now, even as an adult who has stepped away from filming, your family name is being pulled into yet another storyline you did not consent to. The rumor does not only target Matt. It implicitly accuses the whole family of deception, of participating in an elaborate cover-up, hiding a living person for ratings. If that supposed 5th child exists, the story tells us, then the rest of the Roloffs have either cruelly ignored them or been kept in the dark for years. Either scenario paints them as villains, not just Matt. Now imagine being that hypothetical 5th child. If they are real, they are a human being whose identity and trauma are being treated as a fun theory for strangers to debate. If they are not real, someone out there might be misidentified as them. A completely innocent person could be screen-grabbed in a fan photo or a distant family snapshot and suddenly told by the internet that they are Matt's secret child. Can you imagine opening your phone and seeing your face next to those words? This is not entertainment. It is a form of harassment, even if the creators do not see it that way. We have grown so used to the rhythms of reality television and internet drama that we forget a simple truth. These are not characters. They are not written by a team of screenwriters with a twist in mind for next season. They are people. Their relationships, their mistakes, their private griefs, are not ours to fabricate. And yet, the machinery that encourages people to speculate is powerful. Fans are pushed into a kind of detective role. They are handed a few ambiguous clips and told there is a bigger story here. They begin to read into every pause, every facial expression, Every missing detail on Instagram. Why was this person not at that event? Why did that caption sound so cold? Why has this person not posted with that person recently? Those are normal questions to quietly wonder about anyone you follow. But when you feel entitled to the whole truth of their lives, those questions can escalate into obsession. Add to that the particular nature of the Roloff family story. Disability. Adoption. Height difference. Rural life. Reality television. For years, viewers have seen the family framed as inspiring, unusual, special. Many fans feel like the Roloffs taught them something important about difference and acceptance. That emotional investment makes any hint of hidden drama feel even more intense. It is as if the audience is saying, "We gave you our time. You gave us your vulnerability. Now we deserve all of it. Even the parts you never offered." Chapter 5. Why the truth matters here. By now, some people might ask, does it really matter if a few rumor channels exaggerate a bit? It is just gossip. But it does matter, for several reasons. First, accuracy matters on a basic ethical level. When we repeat unverified accusations about real people, we are not just telling stories. We are shaping reputations, careers, and mental health. Matt is not a perfect person. No one is. But he has the basic right not to have a false narrative about his family presented as confirmed fact. Second, the longer a story circulates, the more real it feels, even without evidence. This is a well-documented psychological effect. People who repeatedly hear a claim are more likely to believe it, simply because it feels familiar. So a viewer who watches 3 different videos about Matt's supposed secret child might start to think there must be something there, simply because multiple sources mention it. They forget that those sources are just repeating each other in a closed loop, not building on independent verification. Third, there is a slippery slope. If we accept that it is fine to invent or heavily exaggerate a story about a secret child, what is off limits? Secret affairs. Faked pregnancies. Neglect and abuse that never happened. We cross from curiosity into character assassination. And finally, there is a deeper cultural cost. The Roloffs, like many reality families, represent something bigger than themselves. Their show has been part of how millions of viewers think about disability, family, and difference. If the public conversation around them becomes dominated by false or unproven scandals, we lose sight of the more important, real issues. We stop asking what it means for a disabled parent to navigate a world not designed for them. We stop talking about how reality television affects children. We stop examining the ethics of filming family conflict. Instead, we are left with an endless churn of shallow speculation. So what would a more honest, responsible conversation look like? It might sound less dramatic at first glance, but in reality, it is far more human. Chapter 6. The Real Untold Stories. Maybe the real untold stories in the Roloff family are not about secret children, but about the 4 we already know. Jacob has spoken about feeling exploited by the show. What does it mean to process that kind of experience? To love your family and at the same time resent how they, and a television network, allowed your childhood to be turned into content. How do his parents sit with that? What private conversations have they had? What apologies have been made, or not made? That is a real emotional landscape, more complex than any clickbait headline. Zach has publicly disagreed with Matt about the future of the farm. At one point, negotiations about buying part of the property fell apart. Fans saw the bare outlines of this conflict on the show and on social media, but you can feel in between the lines that this is not only a business disagreement. It is about legacy. About who feels valued. About how children of a public father carve out their own identities in adulthood, especially when the farm itself has become a character in the family story. Molly has chosen privacy. That decision itself is fascinating and telling. What does it mean to have the chance to be on television, to be famous, and to say no? To step back into a life out of the spotlight while your parents and siblings continue. What toll did the cameras take that we never fully saw? What boundaries did she need to reclaim for herself? Jeremy and his wife have created their own brand and social media presence, separate from the show. How do you grow up in the shadow of your father's fame and then build something that feels like yours, not just an extension of his story? And then there's Matt himself. A man with a disability, now aging, dealing with health issues and the finite nature of his time. A man who spent years projecting unstoppable energy, always building, always planning. What does it do to a person when their body can no longer keep up with their vision? How does he process the fact that some of his children are geographically and emotionally distant at times? How does it feel to scroll the same rumors, to see strangers rescue or condemn him in the comments of videos he never approved? These are powerful emotional questions. They are not scandalous, but they are deeply human. They are not as easy to package into a single word like secret. They require listening, empathy, and time. The exact things internet drama rarely gives. Chapter 7. Media literacy in a drama-addicted world. So what do we do, as viewers, as fans, as citizens of an internet that rewards the wildest story in the room? First, we learn to pause. When you see a thumbnail that screams confirmed or 99.9% DNA match, ask yourself a few simple questions. Who is making this claim? What do they gain if I click? Where is their evidence? And is it something I could verify from a neutral, credible source? Does this story respect the basic humanity and dignity of the people involved, or does it reduce them to characters in a soap opera? Second, we learn to tolerate not knowing. It is okay not to have a complete map of someone else's personal life. It is okay to accept that there are details behind the scenes of the Roloff family that are none of our business. The belief that we are entitled to every detail, that any gap in our knowledge must be filled in with speculation, is part of what drives this rumor machine. Third, we recognize that we, as an audience, have power. Every click tells the algorithm what we want more of. If drama channels and rumor videos consistently outperform nuanced, respectful content, the system will keep feeding us more of the same. But if a critical mass of viewers starts favoring content that is honest, empathetic, and careful with facts, that sends a signal too. It will never be perfect. There will always be gossip. Humans have gossiped since the dawn of language. But we can choose not to feed the cruelest, least grounded forms of it. Chapter 8. Coming back to the fifth child. So after all this, let us come back to the question that pulled you into this video in the first place. Is there any solid, verifiable reason to believe that Matt Roloff has a secret fifth child, proven by a 99.9% DNA match? As of the time of this recording, no. No court documents. No legal filings. No on-the-record statements from Matt, from the Roloff children, or from a supposed fifth child. No independent reporting from established news organizations. Just a lot of recycled speculation, eye-catching graphics, and the powerful pull of a story that sounds too interesting to ignore. Does that mean it is absolutely, metaphysically impossible that some unknown relative could ever emerge in the Roloff family or in any family? No. Families are complicated. People make mistakes. Secrets sometimes do exist. But the responsible position is always the same. Until the people directly involved choose to tell that story, or until there is genuine evidence provided through legitimate channels, it is not our story to invent. And the harm done by treating rumor as fact is far greater than any fleeting thrill we get from thinking we have uncovered something hidden. If one day, in the future, there is a real, confirmed revelation about an unknown family member, it will be painful and complex enough without being pre-digested into entertainment years in advance by strangers on the internet. Until then, the decent thing, the human thing, is simple. We treat the rumor as what it is. A rumor. And we return our attention to the realities we can actually see. A man aging on a farm he poured his life into. A family still negotiating how to love each other after divorce, distance, and decades of public exposure. Children who grew up with cameras in their faces and are still figuring out who they want to be away from that light. Grandchildren being born into a world where their baby photos are news to millions. These are stories that do not need invented twists to be compelling. Final chapter. The story we choose to tell. When you strip away the clickbait and the speculation, you are left with a quieter, more powerful idea. Maybe the real act of respect toward people like Matt Roloff is to let them be human-sized again. Not icons. Not villains. Not puzzle boxes full of hidden children and secret sins. Just flawed, complicated, ordinary and extraordinary people, trying to live their lives with some measure of dignity. In a way, this was always the promise of Little People, Big World. To show a family living under unique circumstances and yet dealing with the same universal challenges as everyone else. Love. Work. Health. Forgiveness. Change. If we truly valued that part of the show, we would not need to invent a secret fifth child to stay interested. We would be able to sit with the slower, less dramatic truths of middle age, of grown children, of evolving relationships. The internet will keep doing what it does. Somewhere, right now, another thumbnail is being designed. Another title is being written, bold and breathless. But you are not powerless in the face of that. You can choose what you click. You can choose which creators you reward. You can choose to treat the people on your screen as real, complex beings, whose lives are not there to be endlessly rewritten by strangers chasing the next viral twist. So the next time you see a video claiming to reveal Matt Roloff's hidden fifth child with a 99.9% DNA match, remember what we have walked through here. Remember how thin the evidence is. Remember who pays the price when rumors become reality in the minds of millions. And then, maybe, choose instead to watch something that honors the difference between story and truth. Because the truth, on its own, is more than enough.